Good morning and welcome to a special live broadcast here in The Authentic Married Woman. I am your host, Karen Seitz, and I am a coach and mentor for married women to teach them how to find their happiness within themselves and really build a strong relationship with who they are as a way to have a healthy, loving, fulfilling marriage. And today I have a very special guest with me, Josie Warren. She is a member of our mastermind group and is a woman doing the hard work and courageous work of learning to have a relationship with herself and to take down her walls. Hi, Josie. How are you doing today?
Hi, Karen. Thank you for having me today.
You're very welcome. We're very excited to have you and what we're going to talk about today. So before we jump into interviewing Josie and the wonderful things that she has to share with us today, just want to give you the title of our video, what we're talking about today, which is how to know if you are pretending in your marriage. One of the most common complaints or common issues that we hear from the women that we work with is that they feel like they're somehow pretending in their marriage, or at some deep level, they feel like they're fake or even feel like they're frauds and playing house. And so we're always trying to share with women the things that they have control over to change in themselves, independent of their husbands, that when they work on those things, then that directly impacts their marriage and directly impacts the relationship that they have with their husbands. So Josie is going to be helping us today to learn about the concept of what it means to really be true to yourself. And before we jump into that, just like with every other video and recording that we do, I want to take a moment to remind you of our 3 principles that we have that are set the framework for the authentic married woman. And the first is that you are 100% responsible for your happiness. That there's no one and no thing out there that can make you happy. That happiness is an inside job, and we've got to do the work to do that for ourselves and take that responsibility on. And the second principle is that the only person you have any control over to change is yourself. That you can't change your husband and your husband can't change you. That if you want to experience change, then you need to be the one to create that change within yourself and your life, because that's all you have any control over. And the third principle is that being an authentic married woman, or an authentic woman, period, is having a relationship with yourself, knowing who you are, knowing what you like or don't like, and then bringing yourself into your marriage already whole and complete within yourself, and feeling good about who you are. And so what our topic today really plays into our 3 principles. And like I said, what Josie is here to really help us understand, because she's done some amazing work around this, is to help us understand what it really means to be true to yourself. And so we want to know that when we drop our walls, that's how we become true to ourselves. When we drop our walls, we find ourselves. So Josie, thank you so much again for being here. And getting started and setting this up. How did you used to experience yourself with your walls up?
Oh, it felt like I was a complete stranger to everyone, but most importantly, a complete stranger to myself. Yeah. Like, it literally, when I see my walls being up, I feel like I am in a castle, and it's cold and it's gray, and I am alone inside of that castle, that fortress, and I have no one. And I don't have myself. And it felt like there was nothing coming out of me, and then there was nothing coming into me. And I was just so dead to the world and to experiences, to the point where it's like I couldn't even feel love, and I couldn't feel sadness. I couldn't feel joy. I couldn't feel pain. I wasn't feeling anything because I had such thick walls, and I was so shut off from the world that I was just walking through life without a life, almost just like a zombie, just kind of, or ghost, just kind of being here but not living. is how it was.
That's beautiful, Josie. Thank you for sharing so honestly, because I think that can be really difficult for us to be honest with ourselves that that's our experience. Because a lot of times I know for myself and having my walls up, I thought that I was authentic. I didn't know that that's how I was experiencing myself, or really didn't even want to know that my walls were up, because I had a story that I was authentic. And we tend to kind of throw that word around, being authentic or being true to ourselves. It can be kind of a trade jargony phrase that we don't really know what it means because we haven't done the work to really find ourselves. So Josie, did you, before working on yourself to truly take down your walls and to truly find yourself and be authentic, did you kind of have a similar experience as like I'm authentic, I'm me?
Oh, absolutely. My past in my past work, I was a professional counselor.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, of course, I'm a therapist. Of course, I know what it means to go deep within myself. I know what it means to be true to myself. And when I'm honest, I was just a therapist to make it look like to everyone else that I knew who I was, to cover up the fact that I had no idea who I was and didn't want to know. I did yoga, lots of yoga. I did, retreats. I did, had my special crystals and mala beads. I drank the right tea. I ate the superfoods. I cleansed my body. I went on the hikes. I did all the things I thought I was supposed to do to find myself. I dated different kinds of people. I got out there in life and was in different kinds of relationships. And at the end of the day, I know that I was just looking outside of me for everything that I could find and grasp at and look for to find myself. So I didn't actually have to go in and know that the key to myself was really me. And I did everything I could to make it look like I knew who I was and to portray that to the world, so that I never had to really be me and actually open the door to myself, walk in and explore myself. I just thought I was going to find it and could somehow get by in life without ever really sitting down with myself and getting to know who I was.
And so if it wasn't, and I want to say that was a very similar experience to me as well, Josie, as far as reading all the right books, doing all the right things, the mala beads and yoga. And it's not that there's anything wrong. Those can be really authentic expressions of ourselves. But when we're doing those things to try to say that's who I am without ever doing the hard work to really get to know who we are, that's where we end up pretending and get really lost and can't know who we are at all. And you want to ask yourself, to the women who are watching, who are married and in relationships, is if you're pretending to be who you are, but that's not really who you are, how can you expect to have a deep and meaningful relationship with your husband? That no wonder we feel like roommates in that place, because we're really not showing up as who we are. We're pretending and we're playing house. And so, Josie, what did you have to do to start to get to really know who you are so that you could be true to yourself? What did that process look like? If it wasn't reading all the books and it wasn't doing all the right things and drinking all the right teas and the mala beads and the cleansing and the superfoods, what was that process like for you? What did you have to do to finally really know who you are and be true to yourself?
I had to experience a complete crack in the person that I thought I was. I had to see that this facade that I had going on was not this strong thing that I thought it was. That it was actually just a weak facade that I had been carrying around my whole life, and that the person that I thought I was, it was not actually the person that I really am. And I had to get really, really honest. And I had to, instead of focusing on everybody else and all my relationships, I had to make me the most important relationship of my life. I had to stop running from myself. You know, and I had spent a whole lifetime running from who I really am, my whole entire life. When I'm really brutally honest, I knew that I had just been adopting personalities and traits and likes and dislikes, and none of them were really me. I picked them up from my relationships and my family and my friends. And when I took off the wool, I knew that there was really no me underneath there, and that I was completely undiscovered territory.
Wow.
So I just made the choice to surrender finally to myself, and instead of running away from me and looking for all the avenues and exceptions that I could somehow get by in life and have healthy relationships without exploring myself, I finally said, okay, me, I'm going to discover you. And I look at myself like a house. And so I was this house that I had owned my whole life, and I was completely unopened, undiscovered. And I finally opened the front door to the house of my heart and walked in and started looking around with a flashlight. And it wasn't all cobwebs and scary things. There was some darkness, but there was also a lot of light. And that's what it took for me, was to open up the door into my heart and just to step inside with the help of you, Karen, and the New Life Center, because I can't do this. This is hard work, ladies, and you need help.
Yeah. Why is that? Why weren't you able to go in and explore yourself and really get to know who you are without the help and guidance of maybe someone who was walking through that and doing that work for themselves? Why did you need that support? Why can't we just, well, I can go on and explore myself and get to know who I am on my own?
It's like I needed a teacher. I had no one to show me the way. My parents, you know, bless them, but they were just as lost and had been just as lost as I was. They didn't like themselves. They didn't want to know themselves. My grandma, same way. I come from a family of people who have been running away from themselves. I felt like I had stepped onto the moon, a place I had never been that was completely foreign, and that was me. And I just needed someone else who had also been to the moon to hold my hand and to show me around and to tell me that it's going to be okay. And for me, that was you, Karen, and the New Life Center, just to have someone who has walked down this path of finding who you are and to say it's going to be okay. And here is the steps to do it. Just the simple steps of the discovery piece, that it's not that scary, of finding the things I love. I mean, you all helped me find the things I love to do for myself. And those are things that I would have probably never found out on my own. And some of my things, for instance, are painting, organizing, dancing, taking road trips just with myself, and cooking, and helping me hone in on who am I really, and so that I can really dive into those areas to get a really deep, full, true experience of myself. And I mean, I like I said, I wandered around in circles for most of my life trying to find these things. And it was only when I found teachers who were walking down this path that were just farther down the road than me, not like crazy far, but just a stone's throw farther, that had walked down that path and said, hey, here, this is the way, and it's going to.
Beautiful. And so I'm so sorry. Give me just a second. I have a little tickle in my throat. Have a cough drop. Excuse me. So, Josie, some people might say focusing on yourself is selfish. That to make yourself the most important relationship is selfish. What have you learned about that, about why it's actually the most selfless thing that you can do?
Well, I know when I don't put myself first, when I basically put myself last and I make my partner the most important relationship, or my kids, or my job or my family, then I have no self. I feel like I'm just this empty, blank, like I look like myself like an eggshell without anything inside of me. An eggshell with no yolk, no nothing. And I'm walking through life with nothing inside of me, nothing to give back. So when I put myself last, I expect everybody else to give me a life, to tell me who I am, to give me my experience. And then obviously you can't expect people to do that. And when I do that, I get resentful and angry of the people in my life. And I get more angry with myself because I know deep down that I don't know who I am. So when I make myself number one, it's really the most selfless thing I can do, because when I fill up my own tank, right, and I am full of gas, then I feel good about myself. I feel like I'm giving to myself. I learn who I am, and then I have the extra energy and the extra gas to give to other people in my life and to show up fully and to really, truly be there with them. And they get the best of me. When I put myself first, and the people in my life not only get to know the real me, but they get the best of me. And my relationships have completely transformed by doing the counterintuitive thing and putting myself first. Because when I would put myself last, I would be resentful at everyone, and I would feel so drained, so tired. And now, not only by putting myself first am I learning who I am, but I am building true and deep relationships with the people in my life, because I'm being myself, and now I have the energy and the wherewithal, and I have my full yolk inside of my egg now. I am able to give back to these people. And I listen to the Facebook group. It's so nice to be here, because I know I love to engage and read about all the women and what they're going through and seeing all the support. And I also hear a lot of women share about how tired they are.
Yeah.
How they've kind of come to the end of the line, how they're at this end in a lot of areas. And I know for me, that's how I felt when I was putting myself last. Putting myself first will completely transform that experience.
Wow, Josie, that's so clear. And I think so important for the women in our group to hear that when we are putting ourselves last and we don't really know who we are, then it's like we're constantly giving ourselves away. We're constantly doing everything for everyone else, hoping we're going to get some experience of ourselves in return. And then we never do. And then, like Josie said, we become resentful. And that's where we begin to put our walls up. That's where we begin to push everyone away, because we think that emptiness, that exhaustion we feel, feeling drained, is happening to us, when really it's a result of not putting ourselves first and not really getting to know who we are. So that was so clear, Josie. And I just think so helpful in terms of what a lot of women come to us and the issues and problems they're having, and a lot of what we see in the Facebook group with the people who share with us. So,
yeah. And I just want to say, I thought everyone was pushing me away. I thought that everyone in my life was pushing me away, and that I was all alone. For me, and my life was hard. And what I've learned through working with you, Karen, and the New Life program is that actually everything that I saw out there in life was actually truly what was really going on inside of me. That experience, that loneliness, that feeling of alone, that feeling of no one liked me, that feeling of worn out and burnt out and tired, that was my relationship with me.
Wow.
That was me. It wasn't my relationship with my partner. It was not my relationship with my family. They were just showing me that there is a battle and there is a war going on inside of me. And I didn't want to see that. And I just think for the women out there to just see that it's all just a mirror, that it's not really about the husband or the relationship or the family or the kids. They're just showing us what's really going on in our relationship with ourselves. And And when I know that I can work on me. And if I take on me, then when I work on me, then all those other relationships will change.
And so when you work on you and you take on you, what have you learned, Josie, about what it really means to be true to yourself?
Oh man, Karen, I have to be honest. I am only just learning what it means, because I really thought I knew. I had no idea what it meant to be true to myself. I thought, I don't think I even had an idea of what that meant. And I know for me, and I'm thinking about this, and that to me, being true to myself, it was like I was born.
Mm-hmm.
I was born into this world, and then not knowing who I was. And now, all these years later, the other most important thing that's happened in my life has been exploring who I really am in being true to myself. And so to me, it's this very almost like primal core feeling of being me, fully myself, at the expense and risking every relationship in my life, standing so strong and solid and saying, hey, this is who I am, everyone, and sharing it with the world and putting it out there and not hiding the wonderful qualities that make me, trying to be acceptable to everybody else. And I think as women, I'm just going to say, as women, I feel like I want to be liked. I've spent my whole life trying to be digestible and liked to every single person that I encounter. And being true to myself is being me at the risk of not being liked by everyone. Knowing that that's okay, because ladies, not everyone's going to be for us, you know? And I was so scared of being called a bitch or being thought of as unkind or mean. And no, people respect me when I respect myself, when I'm true to who I am. No one respects me, and I don't have any respect for myself when I go through the world saying the things I think people want me to say, doing the things I think people want me to do, absorbing other people's likes and interests. I just feel and look like a phony. And being true to myself is being a real person. It's being the real me all of the time, even when it's hard. And going off course. And I like to look at my life like I'm always driving a car, and it's me driving on the road, and oh my God, I go into the woods and I'm totally not myself with my friends or with my partner. And then I realize it and I catch myself and I go back on the road and I realize, oh, sorry guys, that wasn't me. That wasn't me. And I'm going to do better next time. So it's kind of this falling down process and catching myself and falling down and catching and doing new things that I've never done before, and revisiting things that I have totally buried and I've forgotten about. And in that process of going outside of my comfort zone of who I thought I was, I could really step into who I really am. And there's this quote I want to share with you all because it's really important to me. And I just kind of dug it up again recently as I was thinking about this, being true to myself. And it's by this author. His name is Joseph Campbell. And the quote is, we must be willing to get rid of the life we've planned so as to have the life that is waiting for us. And that is what being true to myself means, is I have to let go of who I thought I was and who I've been pretending to be, so I can really step into the truth of who I really am. And then be that out in the world, be that with your partner, be that with your children, be that with your family. And then you start filling up your own cup, and then I start feeling good about myself and building self-value.
Wow, Josie, that's so clear and so heartfelt, and it's so obvious how hard you have worked on yourself and how many times you've pulled yourself back up after falling and veering off into the woods and doing your work. That's so palpable. And I think what I'm hearing you say, that I want to touch on a couple other things you said too, because they're just brilliant, that what I'm hearing you say is that when, for the women in our group who are married or in relationships, that when they don't respect themselves, when they aren't true to who they are and show up as themselves in their relationship and take care of themselves by putting themselves first and filling their own cup, what I'm hearing you saying is that then what happens is that they don't find that respect from their husbands, that their husbands don't respect them, or they might shut down to them, because when we're doing that and we don't respect ourselves, that's where we put our walls up, which will push a man away.
Yeah.
And our whole central message is that when you're with a good man who is naturally loving and caring at his core, that when you have your walls up with him, that pushes him away. And so the negative experiences you're having in your marriage and of your husband are a result of you not doing what you need to do for yourself to be who you truly are, because we end up resenting our husbands for that experience of ourselves. So you're saying when a woman is true to herself and she puts herself first and does the things to get to know who she is, that a good man will respect her and show up and be the man that she always dreamed of.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I also wanted to ask you in this is that you're so clearly passionate about what you're talking about. And I want to ask you why are you so passionate about being true to yourself and doing this work for yourself to be who you truly are?
I mean, Karen, this process has completely transformed my life, and I have I was really hopeless for a really long time. I just thought that life wasn't really for me. That maybe I just kind of got dealt a bad hand, and just trying to hope that I'll just get through this life. And it's going to be hard, but, I'll be happy when it's over. And I thought that was just how I was going to have to live my life. And I had been pretending and putting everyone else first. And I was so tired and so drained and was getting sick and was getting angrier and angrier and more empty and more weak and more hopeless. And I really thought there was no way out of all of this. And so I am so passionate about finding myself and being true to myself, because it has given me my life, for the very, very first time. I thought that there was really no hope. I thought that's something that those other people get. Happiness, a good relationships, good experiences. I thought, I guess that just isn't in my cards. And the moment that I started working with you, and I started working with the New Life Center, I was able to start giving me a life back, and I think it's really beautiful, because I know we can all go back to when we were children, and there's that kind of childlike innocence that we have, and that hopefulness and that ability to dream and to become, and that I can do and be anything, and that nothing is too big or too small for me to overcome. And then life happens, and I get crushed, and my heart gets broken, and I put my walls up, and I put thicker walls up, and I completely shut down to myself, and I shut down to life. And I'm so passionate about this, because this has shown me that it's possible to go back there, that it wasn't all lost, that I didn't lose myself, that I've actually been in here the whole time, that their little me has just been this little tiny seed that was planted so long ago when I was a little girl, and I finally have the watering pail, and I can water myself, and inside of me is flourishing and is growing this little seed into a little plant, into a flower, into many flowers, and I'm able to kind of regenerate myself and become that person that I so hoped to be so many years ago. That it's never too late, ladies. And that's what I really want you to know, that it's never too late, no matter where you are in your life or your relationships, where you are in your age or your children, that it's never too late, and to start now. That when I finally surrendered to myself and I said, self, I'm so tired of fighting you. I have been fighting against you and with these walls and with these weapons my whole entire life. And I said, I'm ready to start taking those down and just to see what's inside. And I have been amazed at the pieces and the parts of myself that I'm constantly finding. And it's not like I've been doing this for years and years and years. I only really truly started this process maybe a year ago, maybe less than a year ago. So also passionate because this transformation, when you're ready, women, this happens quickly. It happens almost overnight, and it will continue to happen. And that's what's so exciting. I now am living a life I am excited for. And I am excited for my future. I am excited for the unknown. Whereas before, I just wanted it really all to end. So that's my drive.
Yeah. And so what's your big message that you have for the women listening today, or who are going to watch this or listen to this later? What do you really want them to take away from what you've been sharing today?
Just start. Mm-hmm. Please just start. Start with yourself. Say, reintroduce yourself and say hello to you. That it's not about our marriages and our relationships and our kids and all of the buzz and the noise that's going on around us. Women, it's all about here. It's me. It's what's going on inside of me. It's how I feel about myself. It's what's in my heart. And to just take down your walls that you think you put up to other people and realize you put them up to yourself, and start to just take down those walls. Reach out to Karen. Reach out to the women in our group. Make the choice to ask for help and know that you can do this. Like, if I can do this, I came from a really dark place, and I know that if I can do this, you can do it too. And that it's fun. That yes, it's hard work. I have to be honest about how I really feel about myself. And some of that's dark, but it's also really light and really beautiful. I get to discover and rediscover and hold my own hand and walk beside myself and be my own best friend and stop needing and sucking and asking and hoping that all these other people are going to fill me up. And I get the chance, and you get the chance, women, to fill yourself up. And all it takes is you looking at yourself. It doesn't take a magic book. It doesn't take supplements. It doesn't take, a retreat. It doesn't take all of these things that I thought it took. It took some help, and it took me just being open to looking at me and being honest. Just an honesty, and just to start. All it takes is one brick at a time, ladies. I look at my wall like lots of bricks. Just take one brick off, see how you feel. Take another brick off to yourself, see how you feel. Warm your hearts to yourselves, and then my heart will warm to everyone else.
Oh, that's beautiful, Josie. What a great place to kind of wrap up for the day. And thank you so much for being so open, so encouraging, so honest about your own journey, because it can be so hard to go into these difficult places within ourselves, to get brutally honest, like Josie was sharing, to go into those dark crevices that we've been hiding from, and work through those things within ourselves so that we can find ourselves. So the big message is that when we have our walls up, we can't be true to who we are. We can't be authentic. We can't be authentic with our husbands or our kids or the people that we care about. And that just becomes some fancy word that we throw around that we don't really know what it means. So then we end up feeling like we're pretending in our marriage, and we're pretending in our life. And in that, we don't feel good about ourselves. So when we do the work to drop our walls, what you find is yourself. And when you find yourself, you can be true to who you are and experience all the wonderful things that Josie shared with us today about her own journey, and knowing that it's not a perfect ride, that being authentic, I wanted to think being authentic was going to be a breeze, that it was going to be, doing yoga all the time and all the mala beads and all the things out there. And really, it's a very raw journey of, it's not always easy. It is hard work, and there's plenty of face plants, and learning to be true to ourselves and learning to do this work. So if you are listening and Josie's story today has inspired you and her journey and the things that she has shared, and you're sitting there thinking, wow, I really do feel like a fraud, or I really do feel like I'm pretending in my life, and I really do want to know what it means to be true to myself. I'm sick of reading all the books and talking about my problems and doing all the things that maybe put band-aids over what's really going on, but you're not seeing real traction and real results in your life, then we can help. And I also want you to know that Josie's results are not typical, that Josie has put so much hard work in herself and has been so committed to herself to get to know who she is. And that's why she's able to express herself so clearly and honestly and be so passionate about this, because she's doing the hard work. So if you're ready to do that hard work and you're committed and you're sick of faking and being who you think you need to be for everybody else in your life, and you want to find who you are, then I can help. We can help at a New Life Center. So it all starts with a conversation. You can private message me, and we will set up a time to talk and get you crystal clear on the things in your life and in you that hold you back from being who you really are and being true to yourself. And we will come up with a step-by-step game plan for you to really get to know who you are and bring the beautiful you that you are into your life, as Josie has done. So Josie, anything that you want to share in closing, or any last words of encouragement or wisdom that you have for the women in the group?
Yeah, I just also want to say, women, that if you're listening out there, that you are not alone. That if you're feeling empty and you're feeling tired and you're feeling worn out and you feel like maybe I have been living my life for others, you're not alone. That I feel like is more of the common experience of all of us. Who taught us how to know ourselves? There's no guidebook. There's no rule book. That's why Karen is so important, has been so essential to me in my life, is to have someone there that can just hold my hand and encourage me along this path. So women, that instead of beating yourselves up, and see this as a jumping off pad to jump off and see your blank slate as a portrait, that now with the help that you can have, that you can paint that portrait with all the colors of the world and of who you really are, and see this as an encouragement, as a call to find yourself, that we all deserve to know who we are and to be solid in who we are. And that when I am filling myself up with me and making me the most important relationship of my life, then I can be solid me, and I can stand next to, Karen's talked about this, I can stand next to and walk alongside my partner, not needing them to give me anything, because I'm giving myself all of those things. And then I can really love and appreciate the people in my life for who they are.
Thank you so much, Josie. You are a true shining example, and it's obvious that you're walking the talk and doing this. So thank you so much for joining me today and being willing to share this and encourage, inspire other women. And I know that probably women, you see Josie commenting in the Facebook group, and just you're a true example of what it really means to be yourself and be true to yourself. So thank you so much, Josie.
Thank you so much for having me, Karen.
You're welcome. So I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you again very soon. Bye. Bye, Josie.
Bye.